In this video, we're going to look at applications of lines. In the applications that we're looking at, what we'll want to do is identify a slope, which would be a change in y per change in x, rise over run, and a fixed amount, which would be your y-intercept. We'll write the equation of the line in the form y equals mx plus b, using the variables given in the problem. And then we'll use the equation to answer the questions. Let's get started. In this example, we are told that Amanda is a software saleswoman. Her monthly salary is $1,800 plus an additional $50 for every copy of Math is Fun that she sells. Let S represent her total monthly salary this month in dollars, and let N represent the number of copies of Math is Fun that she sells. Write an equation relating S to N, and then graph your equation using the axes below. So there are a couple key pieces of information here. One is that they're telling us to relate S to N. And when they say S to N, that means that S is going to be our dependent variable or our y variable. And we can confirm that by looking at the axes. The vertical axis is S, so that would be in the place of the y variable. And the horizontal axis is N, so that would be in the place of the x variable. So I'm going to go ahead and have S, which is her total salary. And I know that her monthly salary is $1,800. So I'm going to put $1,800 plus an additional $50. So I'll do plus 50 for every copy of Math is Fun that she sells. And N is representing the number of copies. So it will be 1,800 plus 50N. So then from this, I know that the number attached to the variable is the slope. So that tells me that my slope is 50. And I always want to think of a slope as a rise over a run. So that's going to be a rise of 50. And then think of it as over 1. And so that would give me a run of 1. The number that's not attached to the variable, that's going to be my y-intercept, or in this case, my s-intercept, but you can still think of it as the vertical axis as y. So y-intercept is going to be 1,800. So when I'm graphing this, I want to start out at my y-intercept, 1,800, and then use the slope up 50 over 1. That would get me a second point. Now, another thing I could do is I could just go ahead and plug in a value for N to get a second point on the graph. So for example, if I wanted to do a second point, I could let N equal 4, for example. If I let N equal 4, then I would have S equals 1,800 plus 50 times 4. And I know 50 times 4 would be 200. So that would give me 2,000. So I'm going to have the point 4 and 2,000. I go ahead and plot that. And then I would go ahead and connect those with a line. And so that would give me my graph. All right, let's look at a few more examples from ALEKS. So let me pull up this topic in ALEKS. And we're doing the same thing. It says that the Sugar Sweet Company is going to transport its sugar to market. It will cost $7,250 to rent trucks, and it will cost an additional $250 for each ton of sugar transported. C is the total cost, and S is the amount of sugar in tons transported. We want to write an equation relating C to S. So that tells me that C is going to be my dependent variable, my vertical axis. So I know my equation should be C equals. S is my independent variable, replacing the X on the horizontal axis. And I want to go ahead and write my equation. So it costs $7,250 to rent trucks. So that will be the first part. Plus an additional, so additional means I'm going to use a plus down here, 250 for each ton of sugar. And it says S is the number of tons of sugar. So I'll do 250 times S. So there's my equation. Now I need to graph it. So to get my first point on my graph, I'm going to go ahead and plug in 0 for S. And that would give me the y-intercept of 7,250. So I'm going to click on plot a point. I'll put 0 for S and then 7,250 for the y. So that gives me the first point. And Alex plotted that for me. Now the second one, I'm going to go ahead and pick a different value for S. So let's say I let S equal 1, then I would get 7,250 plus 250 times 1. So that would give me 7,500. So I'm going to click on plot a point again. I'll put in 1 and 7,500. Now I pick up the line tool and I just want to hover right over those points that I plotted. And that's going to give me my solution, my graph. Let's do one more. So same topic here. A cookie company uses 1 cup of sugar for every 35 cookies it makes. Let S represent the total number of cups of sugar used, and let N represent the number of cookies made. Write an equation relating S to N and then graph your equations using the axes below. So S is my vertical axis. So I'll have S equals, and then I need some number multiplied by N. Now S is the number of cups of sugar. So if I use 1 cup of sugar, that would make 30 cookies, or 35 cookies, excuse me. So 35 cookies for 1 cup of sugar. Now S is cups. So I want to have, in my slope, I want to have cups over number of cookies. So cups is 1 cup for 35 cookies. Remember, slope has to be change in y over change in x. And here my y is the number of cups. So 1 cup for 35 cookies. So slope was S over N, basically. Change in S over change in N. For every 1 cup of sugar, 35 cookies are made. So 1/35 times N. And for the y-intercept, or in this case, the s-intercept, I would think through, well, if I have 0 cookies, that would take 0 cups of sugar. So my y-intercept is 0. So I don't have to put a plus anything there. So let me go ahead and plot the first point at 0, 0. And then I'm going to go, I could go up 1 over 35. It's not letting me go between the values. So I could come over here and I could say, if I'm doing 35 cookies, that would use 1 cup of sugar. plot point, and it plotted that point for me. So again, that was for 35 cookies, so n equals 35. I use 1 cup of sugar. So those were a few examples of getting your equation in the form y equals mx plus b and graphing.